Hello and welcome, beloved child of God. It's no accident that you're here right now. Out of all the places you could be, out of all the voices you could be listening to, something greater has brought you to this very moment. This isn't coincidence. This is divine orchestration. The steps of a good person are ordered by the Lord, Psalm 37:23. And today, that path has led you here for a reason. You've been seen, not just glanced at, but known, deeply, intimately, eternally. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1:5. You've carried silent questions, wrestled with hidden disappointments, and perhaps wondered why your path seems lonelier, harder, or less understood than others. But you haven't been forgotten. You've been set apart. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. 1 Peter 2:9. Right now, before anything else, you need to hear this. God is in love with you. Not from a distance, not in theory, but in real, active, pursuing love. I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness. Jeremiah 31:3. That love has been guiding your steps, closing the wrong doors, and gently pulling you out of places that couldn't hold the fullness of what you carry. Even in the silence, even in the confusion, you've never been alone. The Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:6. You are being protected, not punished, preserved, not pushed aside. So pause, breathe, let this sink in, not just into your ears, but into your spirit. You are deeply, irrevocably loved, and nothing you've done or haven't done can cancel that. Neither death nor life, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God. Romans 8:38-39. This moment is holy, not because of these words, but because of the one who sent them. God has brought you here to remind you, you are chosen, you are known, you are His. Welcome to your divine appointment. Chapter 1. Preserved by love. Beloved child of God. There are seasons in life when things fall away, and it feels like everything familiar begins to shift. People drift, circles shrink, plans unravel, and in the quiet aftermath, it's easy to feel abandoned or overlooked. But what if the separation wasn't rejection? What if it was preservation? The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. You didn't lose them. God removed them, not out of cruelty, but out of care. Because some people cannot walk with you where you are going. Their presence would have limited your growth. Their influence would have clouded your purpose. And heaven knows the cost of your calling is too high to allow you to stay surrounded by what could sabotage it. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. 1 Corinthians 15:33. There's a reason the invitation stopped. A reason you started to feel like a stranger in rooms where you once felt at home. Your spirit began to outgrow the shallow conversations, the surface-level connections, the spaces where you had to shrink just to belong. That wasn't you changing for the worse. It was God calling you higher. Preservation rarely feels comfortable. It can look like loneliness. It can sound like silence. But behind the scenes, God has been sheltering you from relationships that would have drained you, from opportunities that would have distracted you, and from doors that looked good but weren't good for you. You are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance. Psalm 32:7. At times, you've questioned if something was wrong with you. You've wondered if maybe you weren't enough, if you talked too much, cared too deeply, hoped too fiercely. But nothing is wrong with you. In fact, the depth of who you are is the very reason you couldn't stay where you were. You are too treasured by heaven to be wasted in places that don't recognize your worth. Some paths were closed to keep you unstained. Some delays were sent to keep you safe. Some people walked away so your soul could finally breathe again. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. Psalm 91:4. Preservation is a form of love that doesn't always feel like love at first, but in time you'll look back and realize that the doors that didn't open, the friendships that faded, and the plans that didn't work out were actually proof that you were seen by God and fiercely protected by Him. You haven't been forgotten. You've been preserved. Chapter 2. Fingerprints of Heaven. Beloved child of God. There are moments in life when, against all odds, things somehow work out, just in time. When you walk away from what could have broken you. When provision shows up the moment you think you're at the end. When peace washes over you in a storm that should have shattered you. And you wonder, was that just coincidence? Was I lucky? Number. It was evidence. Evidence of a love too detailed to be random. Evidence of heaven leaving fingerprints on your life. Surely your goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. Psalm 23, verse 6. The timing that made no sense, but kept you safe. The detour that frustrated you, but protected your purpose. The no you didn't understand, that later felt like mercy in disguise. All of it was intentional. You've been covered in ways you didn't always recognize. Carried when you were too tired to take one more step. And even in the silence, love was active, strategically placing people, moments, and interruptions to make sure you didn't miss what was meant for you. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him. Romans 8:28. You may not have noticed at the time, but God was orchestrating something greater. That wrong turn, it kept you from something darker. That disappointment, it trained your discernment. That sudden ending, it was a beginning in disguise. Nothing was wasted. We often want love to look loud, to be flashy, obvious, grand. But sometimes the greatest love is quiet, hidden in timing, found in details, discovered in hindsight. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119, verse 105. Look back and you'll start to see it. The conversation that shifted your direction. The closed door that saved your soul. The peace that made no sense, but somehow kept you from crumbling. These weren't accidents. They were fingerprints. You were never forgotten. You were being guided with more care than you realized. The Lord directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. Psalm 37:23 NLT. And the beauty of it is this. Once you start seeing His fingerprints, you begin to expect them. You begin to walk with quiet confidence, knowing you're not navigating life alone. You're being led by a love that sees farther than you do, knows more than you do, and cares far more deeply than you can comprehend. So the next time something doesn't go as planned, pause and ask, is this protection? Is this redirection? Because the same God who saved you before will do it again. His fingerprints are still on you, and His hand is not finished writing your story. Chapter 3. The ache of being set apart. Beloved child of God. There's a quiet ache that comes with being different, set apart. It's the kind of ache that lingers when everyone else seems to fit in effortlessly, but you always feel just a little out of place. When conversations that used to excite you suddenly feel shallow. When the people who promised they'd never leave slowly drift away. At first, you think it's you, that maybe you're too much, too sensitive, too quiet, too deep. You start to wonder what you did wrong, but the truth is, you didn't lose them. God removed them, not to punish you, but to protect the purity of what He's building inside you. Come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord. 2 Corinthians 6:17. Being set apart doesn't always feel holy. It often feels like loneliness, but that ache in your soul, it's not rejection, it's revelation. God is revealing to you that you were never meant to blend in. You were never designed to disappear into the crowd. There is a mark on your life, a spiritual weight that not everyone knows how to carry. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you. John 15:16. This is why certain rooms feel heavy to you, why some friendships fade without explanation, why your soul recoils in environments that once felt safe. Your spirit is outgrowing places that require you to hide your light just to be accepted. That discomfort is divine. It's your calling refusing to let you settle. It hurts when people walk away, but not everyone is assigned to your next season. Some were only meant to be scaffolding, not the structure. And if they stayed, they might convince you to build your life around things God is trying to tear down. Can two walk together unless they are agreed? Amos 3:3. Yes, you feel the ache, but don't confuse that ache with abandonment. Heaven hasn't forgotten you. It's preparing you. This separation is not rejection, it's refinement. God is narrowing your path so He can increase your clarity, deepen your intimacy with Him, and strengthen your character for what's ahead. You're not too much, you're just not common. You've been handpicked for a purpose that requires isolation before elevation. And even when it feels like no one else sees you, God does. You are the God who sees me. Genesis 16:13. So when the silence stretches long and the ache in your chest returns, remember this: you're not being punished, you're being positioned, set apart for something sacred, and you will not miss what's meant for you. Chapter 4. Exposed by love, carried by grace. Beloved, real love doesn't just comfort, it exposes. It doesn't just soothe your wounds, it shines a light on the places that need healing. And the truth is, when you're truly loved by God, you start to notice a shift. Things that once felt normal begin to feel heavy. Environments you used to enjoy start to drain you. People you thought would stay forever begin to quietly fade. You're not imagining it. You're being exposed to truth, to clarity, to what is and isn't aligned with the hand of God on your life. For everything that is hidden will eventually be brought into the open, and every secret will be brought to light. Mark 4:22. And as painful as it can be, this exposure is not meant to shame you. It's meant to free you. God's love is not passive. It's not comfortable silence. It is active, sharp, transforming. It reveals what's real, not to condemn you, but to carry you closer to who you're becoming. The Lord disciplines those He loves. Hebrews 12:6. Love like this will disrupt your comfort. It will interrupt relationships that distract you. It will remove things you relied on so that you learn to rely only on Him. And yet, in the middle of all that exposure, grace still carries you, not because you've done everything right, but because love chose you anyway. But God demonstrates His own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Romans 5:8. The enemy would love to convince you that your mistakes disqualify you, that your doubts make you unworthy, that your brokenness is a barrier between you and God. But that's not how love works. That's not how grace works. God never loved you because you were flawless. He loved you knowing your weakness and still chose you again and again. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. If you're still standing after what you've been through, it's not by accident. It's not by your own strength. It's because grace carried you when you couldn't carry yourself. It's because love held on, even when you let go. There will be seasons where your life feels exposed, where your heart feels raw, where your prayers feel unanswered. But in those seasons, God is not silent. He is nearer than ever. He's cutting away what cannot go with you. He's removing every weight that's been slowing you down. Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. Hebrews 12:1. You are not being broken apart, you are being built, exposed by love, yes, but always carried by grace. Chapter 5. Called to the deep, beloved child of God. There comes a moment in every journey with God when the shallow no longer satisfies. You try to go back to the places that once felt safe, but something inside you shifts. You sit in circles that once excited you, but your spirit feels restless. What once filled you now leaves you empty. That's not confusion, that's calling. You're being called to the deep. Deep calls to deep in the roar of your waterfalls. All your waves and breakers have swept over me. Psalm 42:7. The deep is not about noise. It's not about status or success. It's about intimacy. It's about learning how to breathe when everything around you is silent. It's where your roots go down, where your faith grows up, and where your identity is no longer based on who accepts you, but in who called you. That's why you've outgrown certain spaces, why you can't ignore your discernment anymore, why your soul reacts when you're in rooms that talk about God but don't host Him. You're not being dramatic, you're not being sensitive, you're being awakened. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Matthew 5:6. This hunger you feel, it's divine. It's not a sign something's wrong. It's proof something holy is happening. God is awakening your appetite for what's real. He's teaching you the difference between emotional hype and spiritual depth. He's shifting your dependence from people who applauded you to the presence that sustains you. That's why some connections no longer make sense. It's not pride, it's purpose. When God starts calling you to the deep, He will also protect what He's planting in you. Not everyone can steward that kind of depth. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. Matthew 7:6. You don't belong to the surface anymore. That's why noise feels overwhelming. That's why small talk feels exhausting. That's why your soul feels hungry in spaces where depth is missing. You weren't made to tread water in the shallows. You were made to dive into the depths, into trust, obedience, presence, and truth. So when God starts to isolate you, don't panic. He's not punishing you. He's preserving you. The deep is where oil is crushed, where calling is clarified, and where your foundation is built. He made darkness His secret place. His pavilion around Him was dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. Psalm 18:11. This is the place where your soul begins to breathe again, where you're no longer defined by crowds, but by quiet, no longer moved by chaos, but by conviction. You are being called to the deep. Go where He's leading. Chapter 6. Protection, disguised as loss. Beloved child of God, you may have cried over what didn't last. mourned what slipped away. But what if you were mourning something that mercy removed? It didn't feel like mercy at the time. It felt like heartbreak, like unanswered prayer, like failure. But heaven sees farther than we do. And sometimes what we call loss is actually love. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, you preserve my life. Psalm 138, verse 7. You weren't being punished, you were being protected. That friendship that faded, that door that slammed shut, that opportunity that disappeared, right when you thought it was finally your moment, none of it caught God off guard, and none of it was wasted. Sometimes God allows endings because He sees what's ahead. What looks like rejection to us may actually be redirection. His hand often guides us through subtraction, because certain things, if they stayed, would block the blessing He has prepared. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways. Isaiah 55:9. You didn't lose what was meant for you. You lost what would have limited you. It may have looked good, even godly, but God knows the hidden cost. He knows the conversations you never heard, the intentions you never saw, the traps you never stepped into, because He closed the door just in time. He guards the course of the just and protects the way of His faithful ones. Proverbs 2:8. You've been spared from more than you realize. What felt like abandonment was really alignment. He removed what couldn't carry your calling, what couldn't survive in the atmosphere of your next assignment. That's why the connection didn't last. That's why the plans fell through. That's why the chapter ended, even though your heart wasn't ready. Yes, it hurt, but God doesn't remove things to leave you empty. He makes space to fill you with better. The Lord gives, and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Job 1:21. Blessed even in the loss. Blessed even when you don't understand it. Because His love for you isn't shallow. It's protective. It's fierce. It will remove what threatens your future, even if you try to hold on to it. So if you're grieving something that slipped through your fingers, lift your eyes. You may be standing in the safest place possible, the center of His will. He has not abandoned you. He has shielded you. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Psalm 139, verse 5. What you thought was the end was actually a new beginning. You are not unworthy. You are not forgotten. You are fiercely protected. Trust the one who sees what you cannot and walks ahead to clear the path you don't even know you'll need. Your loss was not the end. It was protection, disguised as goodbye. Chapter 7. The loneliness of being chosen. Beloved, to be chosen by God sounds beautiful until you start walking it out. No one tells you that being set apart often feels like being set aside. That favor can feel like isolation. That calling can come with a cost you didn't expect. Loneliness. You didn't ask to stand out. You didn't ask to be different. You just said yes to God. And suddenly, the rooms that used to feel like home became uncomfortable. The people who once understood you started to look at you like a stranger. And though you've tried to stay connected, to keep things as they were, something in your spirit won't let you go backward. That's not rejection. That's evidence of something holy resting on your life. You are not of the world, even as I am not of it. John 17:16. You don't belong where you used to blend in. You've been marked, chosen, and because of that, your journey won't look like everyone else's. You'll feel things more deeply. You'll see through words people don't say. You'll walk through seasons where it feels like no one truly gets you, and that ache will tempt you to think something is wrong with you. But something isn't wrong with you. Something right is being built within you. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. God doesn't call the crowd. He calls the individual. And with every layer he peels back, he's not trying to harm you. He's preparing you. Preparing you to carry weight others can't. Preparing you to lead with compassion, to speak with authority, to move with wisdom. But the cost? It's often silence. It's often being misunderstood. It's often wondering why you feel so alone in rooms full of people. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. This isn't abandonment. This is alignment. God is weaning you off the need for constant affirmation, so you'll be anchored in His voice alone. He's teaching you to recognize His whisper in the quiet, not the noise of applause, because where you're going, intimacy with Him must be your foundation. You may feel lonely, but you are never alone. He is with you in the wilderness, training you, guarding you, filling the spaces left by those who couldn't stay. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. Being chosen will cost you comfort, but it will give you clarity. And one day, when what He's been preparing in you is revealed, you'll realize every lonely night, every unanswered call, every silent season, it was all proof that you were handpicked for something sacred. You're not just called, you are chosen. Beloved child of God, many believe the most radiant life is one untouched by sorrow or pain. But Scripture teaches that true beauty arises not from perfection, but from perseverance. A life shaped by fire becomes a life that shines with unshakable faith. In this you rejoice, though now for a little while, if necessary, you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes though it is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. 1 Peter 1:6-7. Your trials were not meaningless. They were sacred steps, divinely allowed, shaping you into a living testimony. You were not meant to avoid the fire, but to be refined through it. Like gold purified in the flame, your faith has been tested and proven real. We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. Romans 5:3-4. You are here now, not by accident, but by design. Your journey has a purpose far deeper than you can see. You carry something the world desperately needs, not noise or performance, but quiet, resilient truth. You yourselves are our letter, written on our hearts, known and read by everyone. 2 Corinthians 3:2. This is the beginning of a deeper reflection, a call to recognize your path as holy, your pain as refining, and your life as a message of God's grace. You are not just surviving, you are becoming, and the journey ahead is sacred.